So can we you shed a little bit light on how the China policy under the Biden administration gonna have also its relationship between other neighboring countries of China, so especially like Taiwan. Hong Kong is already, people know what's happened to Hong Kong, and so Taiwan is probably the next target of Chinese Communist Party. But how do you think under Biden's administration its policy on the Taiwan relationship?
Well, I think that's going to continue to have a strong relationship with democracies. Obviously, they've been very vocal about that. I think what people failed to see is that was also the policy of the Trump administration. The State Department, the National Security Council staff were very focused on basically bringing back to this coalition of democracies to push back against authoritarianism. I think the Biden administration is going to continue that. So I think we're going to see democracies come together, recognize the threat to their societies that they face. The number one, the one that knows it's the best is Taiwan. They clearly understand what the Chinese Communist Party is doing. I was there last year around this time monitoring elections, and they understood all of the influence coming from China, all of the money coming from China, and what it was attempting to do was attempting to erode their democratic principles, and they fought back. They fought back by, number one, understanding, and number two, continuing to encourage the economic opportunity and equality under the law that the people of Taiwan have come to enjoy.
Yeah, and now recently, actually, I think they've been doing it, but recently there's a report on how the Chinese Communist government actually, kind of funding some YouTubers, those social media celebrities, and actually, making their tools to influence Taiwan in another way to, have an influence Taiwan. So, in terms of that, how do you think Chinese Communist government's strategy towards Taiwan? It will be more like this type of influence, or there could be a war?
I think in the case of Taiwan, I'm very concerned that there will be conflict, and it is not too far away. I would say within the next 3 to 5 years that we can see conflict in Taiwan.
Why so?
Because the Chinese Communist Party, as the thing that restrains the party from being militarily aggressive against Taiwan is the recognition that all avenues to corporate and financial cooperation will close. They will end. Their ability to get innovation, technology, talent, and capital from the United States or other democracies will go away. The Belt and Road Initiative is their attempt to create a coalition of societies that once that happens, once they're cut off, they have an ecosystem that they can continue to, be the top dog in. So what if there no longer is this relationship with corporate America or other, multinational corporations, because the countries essentially become awoken to this behavior, then I think the Chinese Communist Party will be less restrained and be more militarily aggressive. And I think you're going to see more and more aggression coming, and I'm very concerned about Taiwan.
Wow. So if that, God forbid, it happens, what would be?
I actually think it's not if, but when. It's when. It's not if, it's when. The Chinese Communist Party will make a move on Taiwan. I just don't know when.
Then when it happens, how would the United States react?
Well, I think number one, we can't have a war with China, right? Because China has nuclear weapons and America has nuclear weapons. Nobody wants nuclear war. And that's one of the things that the Chinese Communist Party actually realized, that nobody wants nuclear war. They don't want nuclear war, we don't want nuclear war, nobody in the world wants nuclear war. It's the same thing during the Cold War, by the way, when the Soviet Union moved into Czechoslovakia and took over Czechoslovakia. There was not a war between the U.S. and the Soviet Union because of the threat of nuclear weapons. And so what the Chinese Communist Party understands is if it's a nuclear power, they're not going to go to war, but if it's not a nuclear power, different story. So.
And so you think the United States is going to still back up Taiwan, or?
Well, I think the U.S. backed up Europe. I think the U.S. is going to back up Asia, but the way they back it up will be to provide some sort of help or relief for the people of Taiwan, right? I don't know what that looks like. Does it look like the Berlin airlift? Do you remember the Berlin airlift? when we flew in supplies into Berlin when the Soviet Union closed it down. It may be like that. It may be via something like evacuation. I don't know, but that would be what I think is probably how the United States would help Taiwan.
So it sounds like you more worry about Taiwan will be like the next Hong Kong? Or?
I believe it will be.